Okay, let's get started, everyone. Thank you all for coming out tonight to the Kings Park Downtown Revitalization Initiative Workshop number 2, Community Meeting number 2. It is September 12th, 2024. We're live here at RJO Intermediate. We begin tonight with welcome remarks from our co-chair, Peter Elkowitz.
These are proposed projects and ideas. We're looking for your input. Please, if you didn't pick up a form, there'll be forms available that you can provide input as well. And again, these are proposed. There is nothing finalized at this time. So the planning committee will get back together, look at what comments come back from the community, and then we will analyze those comments and then incorporate what we can, and we'll have the committee decide what's best as well to move forward. So tonight's an input night from the community. We welcome you. We welcome you to give us good input on it, and we want to make sure the right thing is done. So thank you, everyone, for being here tonight. And if you have questions, there will be people all around the room here that will help you and assist you with your questions.
So the councilman and Peter are co-chairs of the local planning committee that is charged with diligencing the projects, asking questions about the projects, and eventually deciding on a final slate to submit to the state of New York for funding consideration. This is a New York State program, and folks from the state are here, as well as folks from the town. I'm Edward Lampson. I'm the lead consultant to the state with my team, and folks with the lanyards are here to answer your questions about the project and any questions you might have about the process as well. Okay, so we'll just go through a quick overview of the DRI program, what it is. We'll just give a quick overview because I think we want to get to the projects that have been submitted for consideration and, you know, what your feedback would be on those projects. What is the DRI? It is, and what is the New York Forward? So they're two state programs, complementary programs with common goals. They're recognizing the unique qualities and sizes of various communities throughout the state and statewide investments to reinvigorate local and regional economies by revitalizing downtown. So last year, the town of Smithtown applied for consideration of the grant, and this community was the recipient of $10 million to go towards the development of a plan, a strategic plan, investment plan, as well as the funding of projects. DRI program goals. What are the goals of the program? It's to create an active downtown with a strong sense of place, attract new business, enhance public spaces for arts and cultural events, build a diverse population, grow the local property tax base, provide amenities, reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Next slide. Now we're in the planning phase. So it's like right now, we've established a local planning committee that was appointed by the town and the state. We had public feedback on draft community vision and goal statement. That's over there if you want to read it. And it's also on your handout. And we also had an open call for projects, which people were able to submit projects, property owners, business owners, for funding, as well. The town, when it made its original application, submitted initial projects as well. And now we're in the phase where people have submitted projects, those projects have been announced, and we'll go over those projects today. Once those projects are awarded, the final list of projects is recommended by the committee. The state awards those funds to certain projects up to $9.7 million, and over the next 5 years, those projects will be implemented. So what is the DRI fund, or what are the eligible project types? The DRI funds public improvement projects, so things like streetscapes, parks, public art, green infrastructure. It also funds new development or rehabilitation of existing buildings, so buildings that are mixed use, commercial, residential, and there is also the ability for towns to propose a small project grant fund up to $600,000 in matching funds for projects that are $100,000 or smaller. As well, the town can also propose branding and marketing, or funds that go towards consulting that goes to targeting residents, tourists, investors, developers, and visitors. So the DRI boundary. All projects that are funded must be located within the DRI boundary. The local planning committee, the town initially proposes a boundary, and then the local planning committee, based on public feedback, finalizes the boundary, and based on the projects that are submitted. The LPC may recommend boundary adjustments, and so the past few meetings have been to decide, what parts of Kings Park are really downtown, and this is the boundary that we ended up with. Overall, the DRI area must be compact, walkable, and well-defined. Project requirements, I'm just gonna go through this a bit quickly. Timing, most projects should be able to break ground within 2 years with receiving DRI funding. Matching and leverage, there's a minimum match requirement of 25% of the total project cost. Project size and scale, projects must be transformative, and we're looking for mostly projects that are over $75,000 in project cost, and if they're under that, there is a small project grant fund that might be available. Sponsors, projects must be have an identified project sponsor that can undertake the project. Financing, all projects that are proposed have to be able to communicate how they're going to fund the project. Site control, either if it's a private property, then it must have the blessing or the permission of the owner. Reimbursement, as I mentioned, it's a reimbursable grant, so folks have to, or the town has to spend the money, and then upon completion, the project is reimbursed. And decarbonization, projects must meet, at a certain scale, must meet decarbonization requirements from the state.
So our first one, project number one, are street and pedestrian safety improvements. The sponsor is the town. This is really about implementing streetscape and pedestrian improvements along 4 streets throughout the DRI. So it's Main Street from Park to Pataki, Meadow Road West, Indian Head Road to Meadow Street, and Church Street. And the goal is to improve walkability and safety both for pedestrians as well as for drivers. We want to note that this builds upon a lot of the great work already done by the town and the county for their design of Main Streets from Dawson to Pataki, and that portion will be funded through Suffolk County, while for Main Street, the rest of it from Dawson to Park will be funded by the DRI. There's a lot of different types of improvements that we're looking at. These can include bulb outs, reduced curb cuts, widened sidewalks, accessible pedestrian ramps, high visibility crosswalks, as well as other streetscape improvements like lighting, enhanced sidewalk materials, places to sit, street trees, planters, trash bins, garbage cans, and wayfinding signage. The streetscape improvement project is also in tandem with improvements for a reconfigured parking lot, the 75 to 85 Main Street. So for each of these 4, it's going to start off with an existing condition. So this is a typical condition. Right here we're looking at Main Street. So this is 2. We're looking east. This is part of Main Street from Dawson to Pataki. So it's a little, from Dawson to Park. So it's a little bit wider than what we have in the core of downtown. And these are typical, meaning that what's shown here is just general, taking the dimensions and things that are common throughout the street section we're looking at. So it's not a particular spot along Main Street. And then on our next slide, we show some of the potential improvements. So here's our draft concept for Main Street. It carries through a lot of the design concepts created for the rest of Main Street through the county and town projects. So it's adding pedestrian scale lighting, enhanced sidewalk materials with the stamped concrete pavers, as well as improving pedestrian ramps, making sure they're all up to ADA accessible requirements, high visibility crosswalks, where applicable, small strategic curb extensions. Okay. Next, we have Meadow Road. Meadow Road West is our existing condition today. It's a relatively narrow street as well, on-street parking in just a few locations, but for the most part, it's just 2 lanes and they're quite wide. So the proposed condition that we're sharing with you tonight widens the northern side of the street and sidewalk into a 10-foot shared use path with a 5-foot buffer, enough space for street trees, and it continues a lot of the elements from the Main Street project in terms of the lighting, the materials, as well as things like bike parking, bike racks, garbage cans, and so on. And here there can also be locations for high visibility crosswalks and where appropriate curb extensions. So we're moving on to Church Street. This is a typical condition of Church Street looking south. Again here today, just right outside, it's 2 lanes going north-south as well as parking on either side. None of it's striped, it's just open, you park where you can. And the sidewalks vary in width. Closer to the church, they're a little bit wider. Closer to Main Street, they get a little narrower. For these improvements, again, it's continuing forward with the designs originally generated for Main Street in terms of the materials, pedestrian scaled lighting, stamped concrete paving, but it's also adding, looking at ways to improve mid-block crossings to make them a little safer for those that have to cross the street, to make sure that there's high visibility crosswalks, potentially rectangular rapid flashing beacons to alert people, drivers, that people are crossing the street. And here the dimensions get pretty tight. The lanes get a little narrow and the parking gets a little narrow, and that can help promote traffic calming, making sure that when people are driving through, especially we have the church and the schools, that they drive a little bit slower where it's we have a lot of people walk. Last one for project 1 is Indian Head Road. Indian Head Road has already been updated in the not so distant past, so it has some of the features that are being considered for Main Street in terms of the pedestrian scale lighting as well as some of the stamped concrete. So for this one, the conditions that we're looking at in the draft concept and we have on the board in the back just involves making sure that we have tighten up the intersection a little bit to reduce crossing distances with curb extensions at Meadow Road. It means when you have to cross the street, it's a little less distance to cross, and when you're stepping out, you're not completely blocked by parked cars, so you have a little more visibility. And then the rest of the same considerations for the others that are related to high visibility crosswalk markings, ADA accessible ramps, and pedestrian scaled lighting. And again, just to go over this is our last part of Project 1, and this is the reconfigured parking lot at 75 to 85 Main Street, and this would provide additional parking that's central within downtown Kings Park, so it's quite convenient for those parking here to be able to walk to the shops and businesses along Main Street.
What's there now?
What's there now is there's some other parking lots from adjacent businesses, and we'll have some boards in the back and can talk a little bit more about that. Project 2, again, this is sponsored by the town of Smithtown, and this is to create a pedestrian walkway from the Long Island Railroad Station to Main Street through Rusted Park. And this would enhance connectivity from those on Main Street or walking along Main Street to the station, and it would be lined with landscaping and lighting to improve safety and aesthetics. And the request is for $500,000, which is 100% of the cost. This is a different view of what that could look like. Again, these are initial concepts. They'd have to go through actual engineering design, but here you can see how the walkway would allow you from Main Street through the park and coming down to the station, and you'll have a safe place to walk instead of having to navigate in between parked cars. And it can be lined with some landscaped areas and some trees and lighting to make sure it's safe and convenient. The last of the town projects is the New Village and Library Green, the trailhead upgrades. This is also sponsored by the town and Smithtown Library. This project would convert the western portion of the underutilized municipal parking lot along Main Street, as well as parts of the library's open space that's already existing, into a new village green. This new and expanded green would feature a gazebo, multifunctional outdoor learning and discovery area, a playground, community garden, a band stage, and seating to facilitate community gatherings. Also, a part of this would be to improve the hike and bike trail and connections to it. It would provide increased access or better access to the nearby state parks, as well as the Long Island Greenbelt Trail. This project is requesting $3 million from the DRI fund, which would be 100% of the costs. Our next project is in Goal 2. This is project number 4, which is Main Street, 4 Main Street renovation. Sponsors Kings Park Realty Holding, LLC. And this is a proposed renovation of the existing 3-story building there. That's including interior upgrades to the ground floor restaurant, basement, as well as the existing apartments on the upper floors, as well as an expanded outdoor patio. Interior renovations include upgrades to the HVAC and electrical system, and exterior renovations include facade and window upgrades, siding, new patio area, landscaping, insulation, and roofing. This project is requesting $1 million from the DRI fund, or 71% of the estimated costs. Project 5 is 50 to 56 Main Street renovation, sponsored by 50 to 56 Main Street, LLC. The proposed upgrades are the facade for this building, or shopping plaza, which is a 5,000 square foot building with 4,000 square foot parking lot. The renovations would add a uniform brick facade, new central entrance with tower design that's consistent with the town aesthetics. Renovations will also provide a private entrance to the basement for storage and other uses, and the back of the building and sides would be waterproofed and sealed. This project's requesting $309,000, or 75% of the cost. Project 6 is 74 Main Street, Ciro's Restaurant. The sponsor is ASVP Restaurant Group, LLC. This project's proposing capital improvements for a 4,000 square foot building, which would include new windows, garage door facade, updated brickwork, door and facade renovations, new lighting, and outdoor patio installation. The renovations would create about 600 square feet of new outdoor dining space and increase the seating by about 20 seats, as well as increasing foot traffic along Main Street. This project's requesting $105,000, or 75% of the costs. Project 7 is at 83 Pulaski for the Celtic Crossing renovations. Sponsor is McDougal and Conics Corner, Inc. And the proposed upgrades are for a septic system, parking areas, facade improvements, and a new patio area. Exterior renovations would include new siding and lighting on the building to improve aesthetics, and there would be a new patio area for outdoor dining and beverage service to increase street level activity. These renovations would allow the sponsor to become a food establishment in addition to its current operations, and they are requesting $307,000, or 75% of the costs. Project 8 is the last for this goal, and this is at 95 Pulaski, the Pueblo renovations. By Pueblo Restaurants, Inc. is the sponsor, and proposed exterior upgrades include a rear garden, parking paving, fencing, roofing, sewer connection, and a garage door window installation. Interior renovations for about 3,000 square feet would include new seating and bathroom upgrades, so the restaurant can increase seating from 16 to about 60 or 80 seats. They're requesting $128,000, or 75% of the costs. Next, we'll move on to Goal 3.
Project number 9, rebranding and marketing for downtown Kings Park. This is another project sponsored by Town of Smithtown, and they're proposing to use branding and marketing services to attract new businesses that will serve the community and promote opportunities for economic development. This will include a redesigning of signage to enforce cohesive downtown identity for Kings Park and an accompanying web and media presence. In addition, the Town of Smithtown and Chamber of Commerce will develop strategies to implement new programming such as art shows, tasting tours, cultural and historical events, and farmers markets. This project is requesting $400,000, which is 100% of the costs. Project number 10 is the Small Project Grant Program. This is another project sponsored by the Town of Smithtown. They're proposing to create a grant fund that will help small businesses and property owners invest in their commercial or residential space in the DRI area. Improvements may include actions such as improvements to signage and awnings, windows, entrances and patios, doors, exteriors, and sidings. Interior renovations might also be part of this fund. Up to date, we have received interest that total to $635,500 in the request. And this fund is eligible to request up to $600,000, which can be 77% of the total costs. Next, we're moving to Goal 4, which is relating to housing and community. Project number 11, redevelop South Municipal Lot into mixed use and open space. This is also sponsored by the town of Smithtown. The town will issue a request for proposal for a 0.6 acre municipal lot south of the railroad tracks that can be combined also with the adjacent properties. This will assist in attracting developers to the site to expand retail and residential options in downtown Kings Park. The funding will be used for public parking, community or cultural facility space, and landscape pathway from the LIR station to Meadow Road. The eventual developer will be required to provide pedestrian access to the LIR station and Meadow Road as part of a redevelopment project. A potential developer will be required to participate with the neighboring sites to the east and west of the current property. Depending on the assemblage of the lots, development at the site may include residential units and retail. This project is requesting $1 million, which is 100% of the costs. Project number 12, 8, 26 to 34, and 44 Main Street renovations. The project sponsor is 30 Main KP LLC and 44 Main LLC. The project is proposing to upgrade existing 8,500 square feet space at 26 to 34 Main Street into a renovated and enhanced mixed-use development. The renovated building will include renovations of 4,000 square feet of commercial space and 2 of the 5 existing apartment units. There will also be a new building addition of 1 building totaling 7,450 square feet, 2-story building that will include approximately 3 residential units and 3 retail units. This project will be combined with facade renovations at 8 Main Street and 44 Main Street. 44 Main Street will also include addition of 2 new buildings. 1 building will be a 2-story residential building and that will include 2 residential units and 2 retail spaces, and the other building will be also a 2-story building including 1 residential unit and 1 retail space. This project sponsor is requesting $1.5 million, which is 36% of the total costs. The next project, Project 13, is 1 Village Plaza and 12 Renwick renovations. The project sponsor is UTR LLC. For 12 Renwick, the current 1-story building will be renovated to provide updated ground floor retail space. A new second floor with 6 new apartment units will be added above the existing ground floor. For 1 Village Plaza, the building will be renovated to better reflect the existing historic character of the town through new siding, windows, and landscaping. An elevator will be installed for ADA accessibility. The project sponsor is requesting $1,009,000, which is 38% of total costs. Project number 14, 57 to 63 Main Street, mixed-use redevelopment. The project sponsor is Bravado Enterprises. Proposed new construction of 9,000 square feet mixed-use building on a vacant lot after the original building was lost to fire. The new design includes 1 floor of 2-bedroom apartments with 2 units, 2 total units above the ground level storefronts. The development will transform a vacant lot into an attractive commercial hub featuring a holistic wellness center and 1 additional retail space. This development is expected to boost commerce, attract commuters, and increase residential options in downtown Kings Park. The project sponsor is requesting $2,035,000, which is 75% of the total costs. Next project, Project 15, is 152 Main Street mixed-use renovation. project sponsor is Cartwright Realty Holdings. This project sponsor is proposing a renovation of an existing commercial building into a two-story 4,800 square feet structure with commercial use on first floor and residential space above. The project will resituate a physical therapy clinic and accounting firm on the first floor, and will also add apartments on the second floor, approximately 3 one-bedroom in total. The facade renovations, the facade and interiors will also be renovated, providing improved medical office space and residences. The project sponsor is requesting $989,000, which is 75% of the total costs. Project number 16, 174 Main Street, Sprouts Mixed Use Renovation. This project sponsor is District Realty LLC. The existing 1,600 square feet Sprouts Garden Center at 174 Main Street will add an enhanced two-story mixed-use structure with additional retail space and residential accessory apartments. This project will create 1 new retail space and approximately 2 apartments. The construction will include energy saving and compliant materials, including new windows, siding, roofing, electrical, plumbing, and HVAC. The project will also provide an open patio with additional parking, sidewalks, and ADA accessibility. The project sponsor is requesting $663,000, which is 75% of total costs.
So moving to project 17, this is 40 Church Street, the VFW renovations. This is proposed, the sponsor is KingsParkDRI. The proposed exterior upgrades include a new roof, siding, foundation support, windows, a sewer connection, new signage, and an awning. Interior renovations of approximately 3,000 square feet would include electrical, HVAC, flooring, painting, plumbing, and expanded carbon monoxide protection. The kitchen and restrooms would also be upgraded in order to support the VFW's ability to host community events. A backup generator would be installed so that the building can become a community disaster relief site. The VFW anticipates increasing public usage by about 60 hours per month, which would be about 55% more than they can currently provide. The project sponsor is requesting $612,000, which is 80% of the total costs. Project 18 is 20 Thompson Street, the American Legion renovations. The sponsor is American Legion Post 944. This project proposes the renovation of a 1,800 square foot building that includes interior and exterior renovations. Exterior renovations will include new roofing, siding, doors, stairs, paint, solar panels, and landscaping. Interior renovations will include renovating their event hall, bathroom upgrades, electrical, plumbing, and HVAC. The American Legion will also contribute electric charging stations for approximately 2 parking spaces. The sponsor is requesting $411,000, which is 100% of total project costs. Finally, project 19 is 125 Meadow Road, the Petra site redevelopment. The sponsor is 125 Meadow Road LLC and RHS Realty Group. The site is currently used for industrial use and storage. So the sponsor is proposing a mixed-use development with condos and retail, with construction to begin between 2027 and 2030 due to the current lease term. The design and planning stages will begin in the interim period. The sponsor does not expect environmental cleanup will be required due to previous cleanup efforts and subsurface assessments. If developed, the site would produce a 2- or 3-story new residential and retail complex totaling 46,700 square feet with 32 total residential units, and that would provide housing choices for young professionals and families, along with approximately 14,000 square feet of retail and office space, 12 total units, and 120 parking spaces. The sponsor is requesting $2,500,000, which is 7% of the total project costs. There were 5 ineligible or pipeline project submissions. These are ineligible for DRI funding due to either the fact that they were outside the DRI boundary or the total project cost exceeded the entire grant amount. But these projects might be recommended for pipeline projects to use additional funding from other sources. And the last local planning committee meeting, number 6, will be at Kings Park High School on Thursday, November 14th from 6 to 8 p.m. And at this meeting, the LPC will provide final input on the funding slate. Resources can be found at the DRI website, the local DRI project website, which is KingsParkDRI.com, and you're also welcome to email us with any feedback or questions at KingsParkDRI@gmail.com.
But yeah, sort of.
Yes, we're doing Q&A, but if you could line up over on this side, if you have a question.
I have one other question.
Could you ask it on the mic?
I don't know if anybody wants to do constructive criticism or are we all happy. I'm disappointed to some degree. 25 years ago, I was in this room, we had round tables, we all went around and did the exact same thing. But I don't think they invented Post-it notes yet, because we had index cards, same thing. And at one point, I think it was called Lamb Associates, something of that nature, they came out with some very, very interesting designs and ideas. One of them was to take the firehouse and make it a big retail thing, move the firehouse into the Pilgrim State Coast, the Kings Park Hospital property and so forth. There were some very interesting ideas. Then Vision Long Island was here and did it. We've been doing this for 25, 30 years, easy. Easy. The question number one is those plans are out there. Some of those pictures were beautiful. One of the things I don't get, the whole idea is to revitalize Kings Park, but it's also to make it look like something. And the way we're doing it, it's whether you give people fish or you teach them how to fish. We're fixing a building, we're adding an apartment, we're doing all this stuff, and we got the same thing. I don't see the difference. So you'll have a couple more apartments. One restaurant will be yellow, one will be pink. I don't understand the whole cohesiveness of urban renewal or suburban renewal. I'm one person, it's all right, more than I had yesterday. But I don't get it. And everybody seems to be here to get a piece of the act. It's almost like an earmarked fund from a politician. Number one, $5 million of the 10, which is really 9.7 because 350 or so goes for all this stuff, which is fine. But of all that money, 5 is going to the streetscape, 3 is going around the park. There's going to be like $2 million for all of you to share. So it doesn't even make sense there. Now, I'll give you an example. When they shot the movie in Northport, In and Out, Kevin Kline, I guess it was, right? They took skippers down there and they put a second story on it. It looked pretty fantastic. They didn't want the water. They wanted an old-fashioned town from the Midwest or something. They put the cameras to the rear end of the water and they shot it. When they went down, they ripped it down again. But when it was up there, it was pretty impressive. You can do that with dormers, with fake roofs. Some of that stuff, one fellow said it was like Disney, looked really nice. Even lousy buildings, you just put a little bit more stuff on the top, but it was so cohesive. Anyway, who's going to pay for it? And ironically, 25 years later, we have $10 million. But we're not doing anything. The restaurant in the corner, I just drove by now, it looks very nice. They want us to fix the basement. If you read this stuff, it's crazy. They ought to do the sign on that thing in pencil. Because every 2 years you change your food there. That's not my responsibility. That doesn't make Kings Park any better when you drive through it. It's not a good thing. Then you have to face reality. We're a town with laundromats, nail salons, hash, this, that, the other thing. That's tough in itself. And that's not going to get any better. Which comes first, the chicken or the egg? But if all we do is give him some money to build an apartment, and him some money to paint the sides of the building, we're going to look like Kings Park again. Now, the other thing that disappointed me is at the end of the slides, in little tiny type, were projects that didn't fit in the pipeline, whatever the pipeline is. One of them was all the wires. If you read that, am I right? We're not able to do those wires. We're not funded. It's too expensive. Would you explain that and we can go on?
Thank you for your question.
Public meeting that we had. We had met back in 2000 with PSE&G regarding burying lines, the utility lines, the electrical lines on Lake Ave. But right now, based on what we've been told, it's cost prohibitive. But we'll find out more and we'll comment more once we get the facts.
This poor planning, I'll tell you why. Because there should have been planned with the sewer system. If you're excavating for a sewer system, it should have been planned to put duct system in. You don't have to bury the lines right now. You could put the duct system in and walked away and did it in the future on a basis of resident to resident. Whoever wants to tap into it, taps into it. It should have been planned, it should have been done. And now it's too late. Now the money's gonna be gone, and that's it. Now, yeah, of course it's gonna cost a lot of money. But that's the problem. Who was planning this 10, 50? I should be kicking myself in the ass because I wish I was here 10, 20 years ago to help plan this. Because why wasn't it looked at? That's what I want to know.
Well, I think if you sit back and look, it has been looked at, and we are looking at it. And I just said it when we did 4 years ago. So for you to come in here and say it's piss poor planning, I adamantly disagree with you. We're trying to do the best we can with a very small pot of money. $10 million. Is that a lot of money in today's
No, not at
world?
all.
Exactly.
It's not a lot. But here's the other problem. Then why are we worried about personal properties, people running into personal properties? The town needs to spend money on the town, not your personal property. You invest in property, sorry folks, it's your dime on your dime. You shouldn't be getting any of that money, personally.
Well, the people who didn't take care of their properties and let it go to pot, and then the owner has to fight that.
Thank you.
I just to wrap up my thoughts on this.
Anything else? Get up, get it off.
The Sabbath Park, if I'm not forgetting, wasn't that an entrance at one point to the train station? And then they built that thing, there was a ramp there that you could drive your car through. Go back a bit, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, when people are coming east, rather than have to queue up at the light, if the park is gonna come to the library with all the performances and such, put his name on that park, knock that thing down, let people drive in there and get off 25A. Go in and park. Why not do that? Have a parking lot there. I know if we just built it, it's all pretty, but you want to put another park there. Kings Park is no joke. I've never seen so many parks in my life. Who uses them? Why can't we? We're going to have all the music, and why don't we do music every Friday night, or not even Friday night? Let's do it Tuesday night and get the restaurants in business. There's so much that could be done if we put it together. Right now, everybody's in it, grab it, put an apartment up, renovate his basement. We have a post office building. There was a post office there. It became a spa. It caught fire. They waited so long that the foundation collapsed, the building collapsed. The town took it down. They charged the guy money. Now they want to give him $1 million to build a building that he could sell the land or build himself. I don't know if he is. This just seems to be backwards from where we want to go. And I'll leave it at that. But if we're paying them or if they're part of the thing, and I don't understand the race. In 4 weeks, we have to put every project up. Some guy could be on a cruise. How'd that all happen? In 4 weeks? We couldn't do it in 25 years. I don't get the timetable. That's it. I'm done, but thank you for your time.
Hi. I wouldn't blame anybody for trying to get this as well. If I owned a property there, I would also be trying to get it. I don't understand how the one property burned down, and now I'm being told, well, they're going to give money to beautify it. They owned that the whole time. We couldn't have some flowers. We had to look at chunks of cement. We had to look at all this. It's almost like they allowed it to get ugly, so we would be like, oh, it's so great. But that's just my opinion. But I do want to, just give me 1 second. I want anyone to see if you find this as insulting as I do. I find this truly insulting. I'm not a whiz with electronics, but I want you to hear the background of the DRI song that they put on for us to watch and be happy. Mr. Moran. Hello. Who did that?